What's going on, guys? Michael Turk here. In this video, I wanted to share my weight gain and muscle gain journey because I haven't always been super big. I've actually was a scrawny kid growing up. Right now, I play Division I football for Arizona State. I am around 230 pounds, pretty low body fat, thankfully, by the grace of God. So I hope this video helps you guys. If you clicked on this, I'm assuming either one, you want to gain weight and muscle yourself, or two, you just want to be entertained from my personal story. And if it's both, you're in the perfect spot because I'm going to share my journey as well as give 5 tips scattered throughout this video. And Piper, come here, Piper. Come here. She's going to listen too because she's trying to gain some weight. A lot of dogs in the neighborhood are bullying her. She's got to get a little bit bigger. So she's going to be listening too. And I hope you guys enjoy this video, man. Let's get right to it. So first of all, when I was born, I was 10 pounds. I think the heaviest part of my body was my head. I think my head is still pretty big for my size proportionally now, but that was the only time when I was young where I was actually above weight for my age, because after I was born, I was 10 pounds, like I said. Then I grew up kind of as a normal kid. And then in middle school or elementary, middle school, and early high school, I was actually pretty dang scrawny. Okay, I did a lot of things like sports, working out and stuff like that, but I was pretty scrawny. Let's go from elementary to middle school. My family's a football family. My dad and my uncles, they played professional football for a long time. Both my brothers too, I'm the youngest of 2 brothers. They both played Division I football. Joe played at UCF and Ben played at Notre Dame. And so I grew up in this football family. I knew that I wanted to do some type of sports, obviously primarily football, but I also played basketball and a lot of other sports, like I said. So all this activity made me a pretty fit kid, but I was scrawny. And the reason was I wasn't eating a lot. Okay, I don't know what your financial situation is, how much resources you guys have. If you're watching this, if you're a high schooler, you want to get bigger, but you don't have a lot of food. That was kind of the case in my house. I mean, we had a good amount of food, but we didn't have a whole lot. Until I moved with my uncle for personal reasons, I really didn't have that much food growing up. Just like, by no means poverty, obviously, but it just wasn't the most bountiful supply of food always available to me. So I didn't eat that much and I worked out a lot. So put those two together and you get a scrawny kid with some type of muscle. Now, when did I start learning how to get bigger? This was like my junior year in high school. And this is the first tip I want to share with you guys. So in middle school, I was scrawny, like I said, and I was around 130 pounds. I don't know the exact weight, but I'm pretty sure it was around that weight to like 150. And then going on to my freshman year of high school, I was around the same size. And then I learned how to get bigger. And this is the first tip I want to share with you guys. I learned to eat everything. And I want to expand on that point because I know if you're a dietitian or something like that, watching this video might be cringing, but let me explain. So first of all, I knew that if I wanted to play Division I football, my size would be important, okay? I don't know what position you guys play or if you play at all, but Division I schools, when they have send these scouts and stuff, they want to see a kid who has good size and good athleticism. You can get away with being pretty small if you have crazy athleticism and a good frame because they know that you're going to get bigger once you get to college and get on their food program. But I knew that it would help me to get bigger and still be fast and show athleticism. So I was like, frick, I got to figure something out. And so what I did was I started looking up online, healthy diets for athletes or best athlete diets. And I always got these meal plans that included things like salmon and steak, fruits and vegetables, chicken. And I was like, okay, this is good and all, but realistically, this is pretty hard for me to obtain and to eat on a regular basis as a kid who doesn't have his own autonomy and my own resources to get all this crap. So I could ask my parents to get some stuff here and there, but I had to be realistic, like I said. But what I figured out was I could get away with eating anything as long as it had these 2 main components. So I want you to write these things down: protein and carbs. Okay, protein is found mostly in meats, but you can also buy powdered protein for not that expensive. Whey protein is the best type. And you can also get it in things like tuna, which is a type of meat, but that's a cheap meat. And things like nuts, so almonds, peanut butter, right? You can research what foods have proteins, and then carbs, you can get super cheap by buying just noodles. And so once I figured this out, as well as figured out the reality that I could get away with eating things like frozen pizza or fast food or, Pop-Tarts and Oreos. I'm not saying go crazy with that, but if your goal is to really gain weight, guys, don't be afraid, like I was, of possibly eating these foods, because when you're a young growing man and you're working out hard, yes, some of it will turn into fat, but as the more you work out, it'll turn into muscle too. And you also have to have in the back of your mind, once I have the autonomy, the resources, and the finances to buy only healthy foods, you can do that. But in the meantime, guys, don't sweat it too much. If you're trying to gain weight, eat everything and train hard, and it will turn into muscle. It's pretty ironic, just a quick note. Some guys on my team who are the most ripped, I always see them eating fast food and greasy foods. And I'm sure they eat healthy foods too, but the reality is if you're grinding every day and you're a young growing man, and you have any sort of good at genetics at all, you're not going to get that fat. You're going to turn that stuff into muscle. And in the long run, just remember that you're going to eventually, hopefully, if you're blessed enough to have the finances to buy healthy food, you're going to want to buy healthy foods too. So that's the first tip I can give you guys. And once I realized that, going into my junior and senior year, I actually got up to 205 pounds and I still felt fast and strong. Something else I figured out, this is the second tip. My junior and senior year, I really figured this out. One, because I got my head on straight. I gave my life to Christ. God saved me. So I was finally thinking clearly, but I realized the importance of grinding. I know this sounds cliche, but that's the second tip I got to give you guys. You got to grind. And when I say grind, I mean doing things on a personal level that's going above and beyond just the strength program that your high school coach gives you. Or even now in college, what they give me, I do to my full effort. But guys, if you're not doing the little things like going and running on your own, doing drills on your own, or doing push-ups and squats and sit-ups before bed, you're not going to make the maximum gains that you could make. And this, I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is kind of dangerous to say, but it will take you maybe straining a muscle or, tweaking something here and there to figure out what is your body's limits as an athlete. Especially if you want to be a Division I football player or a professional football player or any sport, you're going to want to push the limits and figure out what might strain something. I'm not saying go out and have a bad injury. That's obviously dumb, but I hope you get my point that I've had some hip flexor strains and some hamstring strains, and I figured out how to develop my body to overcome that and to know what my limit is. And even once you're approaching your limit, guys, when I say grind, I mean having the eye of the tiger to figure out what else can I do to still get better and get stronger while I have this little strain. I went through 3 ACL surgeries in high school, guys, so I had no offers. I have to let my dog out. She's barking. 1 second. Like I was saying, 3 ACL surgeries in high school, so I had no offers. Then my brother offered for me to live with him for a year during my gap year. This is the same brother that played punter at Notre Dame, and that's where I really developed into a better athlete and punter. And guys, God gave me the grace and the strength to keep going and push the limits, and that's really where I made the most strides. And that's one of the best tips I can give you guys is make sure you're getting after it. Don't cheat yourself. Only you know if you're pushing yourself to the limit, and this will ensure that you gain muscle and size and whatever your goal is athletically if you're grinding. Now my third tip, this is similar to the first one, but it's a little bit different and a little bit more practical in terms of how you guys can, like I said, practically go about gaining weight. In the first tip I said eat everything, make sure you're eating a lot of food, even if it's not the healthiest while you're younger and don't have enough money. But the third tip is eat throughout the day. And what I mean by that is you have your 3 major meals, right? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But to really gain weight, and to ensure that your body is growing as much muscle as possible and getting as developed as possible, you have to eat snacks throughout the day. And some of my snacks are bigger than some people's meals. And what I mean by this is, like I said before, my brother would bring peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to school. That's a great snack for getting carbs and protein. Other things like nuts or fruits or, they sell so many snack items nowadays. You can bring cans of tuna to school, eat them in your third period. Eat a can of tuna in your third period and a triple decker peanut butter and jelly sandwich in your 6th period. And that way you have breakfast, you have the snack, then you have lunch, and then you have another snack. And if you're doing this throughout the day, your body has no choice but to intake those calories. And even if the calories from your breakfast have been burned, well, now you've just stacked more snacks throughout your day to have those calories that are reserved for gaining weight and increasing your muscles. So my brother would bring pasta back. He would literally bring bags of pasta to school in Ziploc baggies. He would make it the night before and then make Ziploc baggies throughout the week to bring. And it sounds kind of funny, but he would literally eat the bag of pasta just plain. I think maybe he salted it or whatever, put butter in it, plain in class. And that's just straight carbs. Now, my 4th tip on how to gain weight and muscle, I think this is a really good one. And this is something that I've learned actually more recently in my past few years of college training, is to make sure you are doing full body movements incorporated in your workouts. And what I mean by that is you can be tempted as a high school guy to think, oh, I'm just gonna do some curls. When I go to the gym, I'm gonna do some curls, curls for the girls, and then go on the leg extension machine and get my quads These are called isolated exercises. So you're isolating one body part, right? It's mainly my bicep when I'm doing curls. Sure, you're getting a little bit of your abs or whatever, but it's mainly just your biceps. But what that does is it might get that body part stronger, but it's not gonna, in your mind, I don't know all the science behind this, but my coach was explaining this to me once. Your body produces more testosterone and what's called HGH, human growth hormone, when you're doing full body movements, because it takes more energy to do that, and you're hitting more muscles of your body at once. So things like squats, deadlifts, bench press is mostly your chest, but it's also your back and your core. So bench press is good. Legs are more important, but bench press, power cleans, hang cleans, sprints, things like that, that'll get you bigger, faster, because you're using more of your body, and it's actually pretty intuitive when you think about it. It's taking more energy, right? So your whole body has to move and your whole body has to work. And those are the types of exercises that'll make you a more developed athlete, it'll make you a bigger athlete, a stronger athlete, and even faster. If you're doing things like hang cleans and snatches, that teaches you how to get your hips through things explosively. That'll be good for athleticism. And then you do things too, like sprinting, not just running. Running is good for cardio or jogging around your neighborhood, but that's burning a lot of calories, and it's a kind of a slow way to work your cardio. That might be necessary though if you're a wide receiver or whatever, and you need really good cardio. But that's burning a lot of calories. So things like sprints burn calories too, but it's also in shorter durations, and your body just gets more anabolic from it. I don't know all the science behind it, so this is bro science once again, but it's true from my experience that when I'm doing these full body movements and doing plyometrics, jumping, explosive stuff, I'm incorporating more muscles of my body into one movement, and it's causing my whole body to grow and get bigger and become a better athlete. Don't just stay by the curl rack, guys. Come on. I know it's hard, but you can do it, and it'll get you anabolic. Now, my fifth tip for this video, and this is the most important one, not only for this topic, but also for any topic in life, is make sure you have a higher purpose to what you're doing. I know that sounds cliche, or maybe you've heard that before and you don't really understand what that means, but what I mean is there are many days where I thought I was maybe never gonna actually play college football, but deep down I knew that I wanted to do it and that I believed I could. But guys, as you're going through the process of trying to gain weight or gain muscle or play Division I football, which a lot of kids want to do that, right? But such a small percentage of the kids that want to actually end up playing. If you don't have some type of motivation that transcends the mundaneness of working out and all that, you're never gonna make it. And if you don't love it, you're never gonna make it. And so Proverbs 16:3 says, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. And Jesus said, if you can, all things are possible to the one who believes. So really believing in what you're doing, and a good way to do this, if you're a high schooler and you're trying to, or even past high school and you're trying to figure out what you want to do with your life, sit down, really evaluate why are you doing this, and when it gets hard, what is going to keep you going? And like I said, for me, I knew that whatever I was doing, I wanted to honor the Lord. And if I went to college, I was going to be fruitful and do things that are good with that sort of stewardship that the Lord gave me. And that kept me motivated. I knew God was on my side, so I couldn't lose no matter what I was doing. That's the benefit of being a believer, is you're never wasting your time, because God never wastes any of your time. Even if you do fail at what you're trying to do, God will teach you things through that to set you up of what you were really meant to do. So my fifth tip, and the most important one, is have the eye of the tiger and the drive that comes from above to get you through anything. And once you have that, guys, you're unstoppable, because you'll end up exactly where you're supposed to be, like I said. And there were so many times, dude, throughout my gap year where, like I said, I didn't punt in high school. I had 3 ACL surgeries, and some days I was like, what am I doing? Like, is this really feasible to punt in college with no punting film and 3 ACL surgeries? But what kept me going was, deep down, I knew I had the belief that I could and that God was with me. And no matter what, it was going to benefit me. So I kept going, and thankfully things are where I am now. I've persevered, and by the grace of God, I'm here punting at Arizona State. So, for example, Chipotle, okay? This is a cheap meal, and it has a lot of protein and carbs in it, and you can get double rice and double chicken for not that expensive, okay? And this is actually a steak one. And another important tip is when you're eating Chipotle, you have to make sure that, come here, Piper. You have to make sure that even the dogs get the crumbs. So if you have a dog at home, make sure you give them at least a little bit of it, because like I said, even the dogs get the crumbs, and Piper is personally bulking a little bit too. So she'll get a few grains of rice / steak / beans. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one. Forks up.